Hey, welcome to Cultivating Clarity. We're your hosts, Talei and Ximena, and this is where your journey to self-discovery and fulfillment begins.
In each episode, we're going to explore the worlds of creativity, purpose, and community to bring you inspiring stories, practical advice, and a fresh perspective on how to live a life true to yourself.
So let's get intentional. Let's be vulnerable. And most importantly, let's have some fun along the way. We want to introduce you to our podcast, and we're going to be talking about personal growth, creative expression, and community building. What else are we going to be talking about, Ximena?
How exciting! I can't wait. We will also be looking at how we can discover and fulfill our true purpose through intentional living, creativity, and one of my favorite words, collaboration.
I'm really looking forward to breaking all of that down. I thought a nice place to start, though, would be to break down our names a little bit, because when you see them on paper, really, most people are struck with fear about
Yeah.
how do I pronounce either of these names. So let's just break it down for people a little bit so they don't have to go through that anxiety, and then they know
That's right.
how to move
Yeah,
forward.
because ultimately they are creative names, you know? They're
Yeah.
just creative names, and we're all about creativity. So let's just start from there. Yeah. So Talay, your name is not an Australian name. Where does it come from?
So my name is a Fijian word that means precious. So
Oh,
Talei, yeah. When you see it written on paper, it's spelled Talei, but I've had that really throws up some interesting pronunciations. So I've had
yeah.
Talai, Tully, Talei. So it's I'm at the point in my life I answer to almost anything starting with T. So it's got to that, and I do
Oh,
have a phonetic little cheat sheet that I give people just to ease that anxiety about how to pronounce my name. So
oh
Talei,
my
it's
God.
quite easy once you get it. Yeah.
Yeah.
How about
So
you?
guys, if yeah, I was just gonna say if anybody has a weird name, just let us know. We're with you in the journey because look,
Yes.
my name starts with an X. X is actually Ximena, and sometimes I'm like, is that actually my name? Because people call me every day Exaima, Haima, Ex Ximena. Yeah, just separating the X altogether, and then one person one day just called me Hermione, and I was just like, that was just like a right there giving up to try and say my name. So Hermione got involved, and from that day, I just tell people, look, it sounds like a H, and let's just go from there. So yeah, Talei and Ximena, we're your hosts. We're excited you're here, and let's dive into today's episode, should we?
Yes, let's dive in. So the main things that we're going to be talking about here are self-discovery and purpose, creativity and collaboration, and how to do all of that through intentional living. So let's break that down a little bit.
Yes, let's do it. Talei, tell me, when you think about self-discovery and purpose, what comes up to your mind? What is it that you think when you think about purpose? You're all about purpose, and we love that. But tell me, what is that comes to mind when you think about purpose?
Yeah, it's such a big one. I think it can cause a lot of chaos and stress for people, but ultimately, I believe that every single person is created with a plan and for a purpose, with a purpose. There is not one single person here that is a mistake. And what I see with the people that I work with and as I've gone through life is that every single person has something that is resonating at the very core of their being that they are designed
Mm,
to bring to life in this lifetime.
so
And
true.
the reason why all of this chaos comes up and this, oh, what's my purpose? And this stress is because that thing, that dream, that desire, that those passions, those different things, they get covered.
Yeah.
They get covered up throughout life because we get busy. Society teaches us that we
Mm,
need to do all of these things where we need to live up to all these expectations. And so that gets buried. And we get to a point
Mm-hmm.
where we kind of wake up in life and go, who am I? Who am I?
Wow.
It's one of the biggest questions, right? Like, what do I like? Who even am I anymore? And for me, and what I'm seeing is, you know what your purpose is. It's just been buried. So it's
Yeah.
almost like not a journey of discovering what it is. It's a journey of just simply remembering.
Yeah, remembering who we are. And
Yeah.
I'm excited to take some of those layers and really help each other and help so many people to truly dig deeper
Yeah.
and go to that place. I
Yeah.
would like you to share with me maybe a pivotal moment in your life that was very significant and like a turning point for you to think about your purpose, maybe for one of those first times. Can you recall?
Uh, I was faced with a mountain that never ended. It felt like it would never end. I was about
Wow.
14. I did the Duke of Edinburgh program. We were out on this 4-day hike, and
Mm-hmm.
there was this mountain. I'd never really hiked before. There was this mountain, and you start climbing it, and it looked like, oh, yes, the top's just there.
Yeah.
And you'd get there, and you're like, that's not the top. And it
Gosh.
was just heartbreaking to get to something that you thought was the top, so the pain could end, and it
Yeah.
wasn't the top. And that happened over and over and over again. And this mountain just felt like it would never end. It was
Wow.
probably an hour of just going up. And so
Yeah.
that was just such a major point in my life. And I didn't realize it then, but I
Mm-hmm.
still remember it to this day, that it was one of those moments, one of those turning point moments that
Mm.
really has honed my personal growth and
Wow.
really spoken to a lot of the growth and lessons that I've learned in life have come back to that
Mhm.
story and hiking stories since. So yeah,
Yeah.
that is just, it's a
Yeah.
massive turning point for me.
Yeah. I find fascinating what you're saying and how it was in a moment of tension, pressure, pain,
Yeah.
and waiting and persevering. I find fascinating that that is where turning points arrive and come, is when we're actually, yeah, questioning quite a lot, shaking perhaps, doubting, in pain. And yeah, I wonder who's listening that is going through maybe one of those. And perhaps, as they listen to today's podcast, they can think, actually, this is a good redefining moment. This is a good moment to go deeper, would you
Yeah.
say?
Yeah, totally. Totally. On this, so I have a question for you.
Go on then.
Can you think of a book, a conversation, or an event that has dramatically shifted your perspective on your purpose in life?
Oh, I love this. Yeah, because as much as I think purpose can come in a very, very difficult situation, I feel like we also tap into our purpose when we are really enjoying something, where we're really into something. We're like, oh my gosh. I remember when I was living in Colombia and I was given this book and I just read through it and I absolutely love every page. I love that much that I honestly highlighted every single line and made notes. Like the whole book seemed like another book at the end of it. And when I got to the final page, I felt like my heart and soul was just spoken. And then at the end of the book, it said, it was kind of like an application to go to a college, and I literally follow up the application. I went for the process. It took me to a link, and I signed up myself for this college, and I ended up going to America, where I met you. And this was like that moment where I read this book. I found that my purpose had a voice finally, and it was in a piece of paper. I read it, and then I was just like, I'm going there. I'm going deeper here. signed up, and then I found myself living in South Carolina, living out my purpose and discovering more. So it's a never-ending journey, but that was one of those moments for me.
That's
Yeah.
so powerful. And I love that a book, a movie, a conversation, a
Mm,
moment in time, they can all have such a deep impact on us that creates those turning points, right? So powerful.
totally. Yeah, absolutely. And I love that you're saying that, because our next sort of pillar that we really want to explore within our podcast is exactly that, is creativity,
Yeah.
and also collaboration, because we want to create those moments for people. We want to create the book, we want to create the conversation, we want to be that bridge and that turning point for people. And so I wonder, Talei, could you define for me, what does creativity mean to you? And
Mhm.
how can you tap into it? How could anybody tap into creativity?
That is a good question. I Creativity, I think there's a misconception around it. When we think of creativity, we tend to think of the artists, music,
Mm.
painters, actors, right? And I've heard so many people say, "Oh, I'm not creative. I'm an
Mm-hmm.
accountant, I'm an engineer, and that's just completely false. That's a myth. And we're going to bust that, as we
Yeah.
continue this conversation, we're going to bust that because creativity is, it is the essence of who we are as humans. It's in our being, and being able to pull back the curtains on that really and understand and help people understand, no, you are creative, because if you're the mom that is figuring out how to get all the stuff done, get the kids out the door, do whatever work it is that
Totally.
you're doing, do getting dinner ready and the meals, and like that is huge. That
Yeah,
requires creativity to figure out
absolutely.
how to make that all work. The person who is building a bridge, they're
Uh-huh.
creating solutions to problems
Yeah,
to bridge the
yeah,
gap. Scientists, right?
yeah.
They're
Totally.
creating new theories to work on. The accountant that
Yeah,
is figuring doing the books, they are
totally.
also creating solutions to balancing the numbers. So
Yeah,
creativity is really not just the artists, music, actors, musicians, stuff. They're brilliant. We
yeah.
have that spark in all of us. And to answer your second question, like how do you tap into that?
Uh-huh.
I think there's two pieces. One is trying lots of things.
Hmm.
Try lots of things. Have fun with it. Try things. Take the limits
Yeah.
off. And the other piece is really rest. Rest is one of those pieces, and we'll talk more about that as we go along. But rest is really not about doing nothing. It's about being focused and intentional. And when you come
Mm.
into that place of rest,
Yeah.
I kind of think of it like a hose, like a garden hose.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're out watering the garden, you get a kink in the hose, the
Yeah,
water
yeah.
flows, right?
Yeah.
And that kink in the hose is like being stressed and anxious and too busy and
Mm.
overwhelmed. So
Mm-hmm.
creativity can't flow when you're in that stressed, tight, balled up state.
Yeah.
You got
Yeah.
to relax, breathe, unkink that garden hose, so to speak, and allow the things to
Yeah.
flow. And that looks like really having fun.
It does. It does. I love what you said about it's not a job description being creative. It's more who we are.
Yeah.
And I love that you said to tap into it. Really, you just have to tap into who you are and play with your set of skills and make them grow, cultivate them, use them. Whether it is cooking, whether it is writing, whether it is having a good conversation with somebody where you go deeper because of, where you are in life.
Yeah.
There's so many ways, and I love how we will continue to tap more into this creative nature that we all have. I'm excited to see that. And also collaboration. I'm excited to see how that plays a part in our
Totally.
podcast.
I have a question for you, and that is, how do you define collaboration in a creative context, and why do you think it's so important in today's world?
I love that question because it is exactly what we were just saying. So,
Yeah.
if creativity is really tapping into who we are, collaboration is then having that mindset of tapping into somebody else's world and then connecting and really like tapping into somebody else's creativity, see it, value it, celebrate it, and then think, wow, isn't it beautiful that we could actually work it together and make it bigger and have an impact. I feel like collaboration is both the connection and the desire to use that connection, because then you put it into action. When you really collaborate with someone, you're not just kind of like, you're not being selfish, you're actually being quite generous. And I love that it takes you into an action plan. Collaboration to me is so creative, is so celebratory of creativity, because it really unlocks things. It's like, here you go, open doors, new ways, new paths, and is I love it. So yeah, more collaboration to come. And guys, cultivating clarity is all about collaboration. We are a collaboration. So this is the prime example of how you can really um, collaborate with your friends and have intentional conversations. But Talei,
I love it.
we're talking about now as well about intentional living. That's one of the subjects that we're going to be focusing on.
Mm.
Talk
Intentional
about.
living. I really think this is where we're going to be able to break down for people practical things that they can implement into their lives, right? Stuff
Mm-hmm.
that we can implement, that we are implementing in our lives, things that have worked, things that haven't worked, things that there's a lot of mindset pieces that come in here.
So true.
And yeah, really intentional living, I think, is so important, especially in today's day and age, because we are, as a people, we're busy.
Mm,
Like,
yeah.
our lives are
Yeah.
so full of
Yeah.
things that I know for me, I used to say when I caught up with friends, this was a couple of years ago, I used to say, oh, I've been so busy. And I started to realize that me saying that made me feel like I had value. I felt
Mm,
like if I wasn't busy,
yeah.
if I was just doing stuff that I love to do, or like I'd got all my work done and blah, 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 and I'd been doing
Yeah.
stuff that brought me joy, and I wasn't like
Yeah.
run off my face busy, I felt like, oh,
Yeah.
I haven't been doing enough.
Right.
And so the intentional piece, I think, is so important because it really connects us back to our purpose, what brings us
Mm,
joy. It connects us to our value system, what's
yeah.
important to us. Because if we don't get intentional about that, what happens is we get frustrated
So
because we're
true.
not being fulfilled.
I'm with you. I believe that intentionality is so crucial, because really you need intentional relationships. You need intentional health. You really do. There are choices that nobody else is going to do for us. There are habits that nobody else is going to put in place for us. And I feel like this is why we need to shift the way we think, because out there, everybody has an opinion on how we should live our lives. But we are the ones that need to write it down. We are the ones that need to define it and also go for it.
Yeah.
Think about, our present, but also our future.
Yeah.
And having that clear vision is is what we want. This is what intentional living means for us. Is
Yeah.
purpose, is impact, is a ripple effect on generations. We want people to get to the end of their lives and think, wow, this is a legacy and I'm passing it down to another generation. We don't want people to feel, hopeless or disappointed or discouraged, when life goes.
I love that. That is so powerful. So powerful. What do you think is an obstacle that people face when it comes to living intentionally? And how do you navigate that?
I think it goes back to what you mentioned about busyness and how we can be so caught up to try to, trying to catch up with the world, trying to keep up with everything else that is going on. I
Yeah.
don't know if you've noticed, but there is a lot of trends and trendiness out there. So I feel like our generation is constantly trying and striving to catch up with it. And I actually want to encourage our listeners, you can be yourself and you can be that version and actually create such a huge impact that nobody's going to judge you because you're doing something different. Actually, you're not going to be feeling like you're running behind. You're going to be a pioneer. You can be a trailblazer and really make a way to a rhythm of rest if that's what you are into, to a rhythm of intentionality or creativity, or just being at home with your family. If this is where you need to tap into, then it is, and I
Yeah.
feel like we need to give permission to everybody listening to just truly stay present and be grounded in who they're called to be.
Yeah. Yeah. I really feel like that does sum up who we are, what we're here for, how we want to connect and support all of our friends. And yeah, I've really loved this chat. It's been
Mm.
really powerful. And so just to recap a little bit, where we're going to from here is taking a deeper dive on these different topics on self-discovery
Mm-hmm.
and purpose, creativity and collaboration, intentional living. And so just thinking back on our chat, Jimena, what has been a key takeaway for you?
Oh, I'm taking away today that I am creative because I am committed to discovering who I am, who I, who I am, my gifting, my personality, the very essence of Jimena. And that is my takeaway. My takeaway is that I'm also willing to tap into the people around me and collaborate. So I believe that that is life changing. For me, it has been. And I believe that it is also the reason why we're doing this podcast, is because we have found that what we have in our hands and our heart, it can actually have a path to go somewhere. We can
Yeah.
make a plan for it to flourish and to grow. And this is why we're having this collaboration and this podcast. I'd love to hear about you though. Tell me, what would you say is the one action item that you could offer to our listeners today? What is your big takeaway?
Yeah. We've covered a lot of different pieces. I feel like we've
Yeah.
gone wide. But the biggest question that most people ask is, who am I? And I
Mm,
really want to encourage people to know, okay, it's in there. It's already in there. I don't need to
yeah.
strive. I don't need to get stressed about trying to find it. But just to
Mm,
start with rest,
yeah.
to start with just taking a breath, just taking a
Mm-hmm,
breath and
mm-hmm.
just becoming aware of the stuff that you're carrying. And maybe that's a big process.
Yeah.
But taking a break, doing something fun, I think that would be the one takeaway is if you're
Mm,
on the journey to discovering your purpose, do something fun. Whether
yeah.
maybe it's something that you used to do that you haven't done for a while that just used to
Love
bring
that.
you joy,
Mm-hmm.
go do that. Like purpose,
Yeah.
be intentional about doing that thing with yourself, with your
Yeah.
friends. Um, with your partner, whatever it is, like just be intentional about doing that this week. And if you are someone who has been regularly taking time to do something for yourself, I want to encourage you to try something new.
Yes.
Try something new that you haven't done before. It doesn't necessarily have to scare you, but it just something that is out of your zone, because those moments can often trigger something beautiful.
That's right. Yes. Oh, I love that. There has been so much wisdom in this conversation, and I just can't wait to break all of those subjects down. I'm pretty sure that we will be diving into just intentional living and just collaboration and just creativity. But for now, I just want to thank everybody who's listening, and really we hope that yes, our new friends, our new community, our new family. And just encourage you to do that. And no matter what season you find yourself in right now, like even what Talei was describing at the beginning, even if you're feeling you're struggling, you're climbing a mountain, hiking somewhere, and it feels like it's hard, you can still tap into purpose. And yeah, so we want to encourage you and thank you for being here. I want to thank you, Talei, for your time and wisdom.
Likewise, my friend. Thank you. It's been amazing.
All right. So then see you later in the next one.
Ciao, ciao.
Ciao, ciao. Thanks for joining us on this episode of Cultivating Clarity. We hope you found some inspiration, hopefully a good laugh, or maybe a new perspective.
Don't forget to subscribe and stay up to date with our latest episodes, and share this podcast with your friends. Follow us on socials at Intentional Studios and the Freedom Collective for more fun, insights, and the links are in the show notes.
And if you found a topic that you would like us to cover, if there is something that is really on your heart, drop us a message or a comment. And until next time, keep cultivating clarity. Remember to take a moment to appreciate the simple joys in life. See you next time.